everyone. Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, and we've got some off-season content as the free agent market begins. Just a few days away, and that means qualifying offers is the topic of conversation today. The Dodgers have some decisions to make on that front. And so let me catch you up. First of all, if you don't know what I'm talking about, a qualifying offer is basically an offer that a team can make to their players as long as two conditions are met. First, that player has never received a qualifying offer previously in their career. And second, that player has to have spent the entire season on that team's roster. If those two things are both true, then a team can make a one-year offer that is worth the average salary of MLB's 125 highest paid players. Buster Olney reported that number this year is $18.4 million. So basically any free agent that the Dodgers have who has not received a qualifying offer before and who spent the entirety of this past season with them, they can extend a one-year $18.4 million contract. If the player rejects that offer and signs elsewhere, that team would then have to give up draft pick compensation. The Dodgers would receive draft pick compensation as well. And so the Dodgers have officially 11 free agents, and the question is, are any of those guys going to receive qualifying offers? Are any of them worthy of receiving a qualifying offer, and how might they respond? So off the top, there are some guys ineligible. Max Scherzer, Albert Pujols, Danny Duffy, Cole Hamels, none of those guys spent the entirety of last season with the Dodgers. Kenley Jansen is the only player that falls into Category 1, meaning he has already received a qualifying offer last time before signing a contract with the Dodgers. So the guys who are eligible to receive one are Clayton Kershaw, Corey Seager, Chris Taylor, Corey Knebel, Jimmy Nelson, and Steven Souza Jr. There are 6 players. So who gets them? Well, we can cross off Steven Souza Jr. He's not going to get a one-year, $18.4 million contract offer. And I actually think Nelson and Knebel as well, that is far out of their price range. On the flip side, Kershaw, Seager, and Taylor are all no-brainers on this front. All 3 of those guys are going to get contracts with an average annual value in the neighborhood of about $18.4 million. And so making an offer in which at the very least they would get they would get 1 year at that number makes all the sense in the world. Now, of course, they don't have to accept that offer. Once they receive it, they have 10 days in which they can negotiate with other teams during that stretch, and they can decide whether to accept or reject. All 3 of those players will receive a qualifying offer. I can all but guarantee you all 3 of those players will reject a qualifying offer. Some of them, in the case of Chris Taylor specifically, maybe even Clayton Kershaw, maybe they don't get offers of $18.4 million at an average annual value. But if they get a 5-year contract at $16 million, in the case of Chris Taylor, something like that, I'm guessing he would take the $80 million guaranteed rather than betting on himself for one season and testing the free agent market after that. Now, if you're the Dodgers, of course, you make the offer, you know they're going to reject it, and all it does is protect you a little bit so that, hey, if Chris Taylor, if Corey Seager, if Clayton Kershaw end up signing somewhere else, then you're protected. You at least get some draft pick compensation back. You don't lose them for absolutely nothing. Of course, if you watched our free agent primer, which, by the way, if you haven't, it's on our YouTube channel, make sure to check that out. We break down Taylor, Kershaw, Scherzer, Jansen, Seager, all the expectations of free agency, what they might get on the market, who the Dodgers might be interested. But if you watch that, you know that there's not a sure thing that any of these guys are back. We think Clayton Kershaw is going to be back. We feel pretty confident about that. But Corey Seager, 50-50. Chris Taylor, I'd say 50-50. I feel good personally that the Dodgers will retain one of those 2 players. I think if Seager opts to go elsewhere, then maybe the Dodgers cut his price tag in half and offer that to Chris Taylor to play alongside Trey Turner, Gavin Lux, Justin Turner, etc. But the rest of these guys, I think it's up in the air. So again, Seager, Taylor, and Kershaw are the 3 no-brainers. Expect them to receive qualifying offers. But don't get your hopes up. Don't assume that they are signing a one-year, $18.4 million deal. This is basically a formality. Of course, last time Kershaw was up, he signed a contract before a qualifying offer ever needed to be made. It doesn't appear that that's going to happen this time, but remains to be seen. So there you go. We'll see. Check the news. The qualifying offers will come out. Again, I don't think Steven Souza Jr. is going to be getting that contract, but hey, you never know. Maybe in this case you do know, but anyways, we appreciate you joining us. We got tons of great content coming out, so make sure you're subscribed here. I've got an interview with a former Dodger on deck for Friday that we'll post either over the weekend or maybe beginning of next week. And then Daniel and I will begin a series of videos where we start looking ahead to the 2022 roster, the starting pitching, who pitched well last year, who might be back, what free agents might be out there. We'll do the same with the lineup. We'll do the same with the bullpen as well. We'll have short videos next week talking specifically in depth about Seager, Jansen, Kershaw, Scherzer, Taylor, etc. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed here to Dodger Blue 1958. We appreciate you joining us. My name is Jeff Spiegel. We'll see you next time.
The best team holding a trophy high in the air. The Los Angeles Dodgers, champions of the baseball world.